Assalamualaikum everybody, my name is Dew Francis and welcome back to the Weekly Deen Show, where we talk about anything and everything under the Muslim sun in Singapore, from social issues to faith to current affairs and everything in between. Think of it like a coffee shop conversation, except there's cameras, an expert, and a trying Muslim. Now, for some, when a Muslim say they are struggling with sadness or mental health, the immediate response is always, you just need more prayer, read the Quran, or do more zikr. But is that fair? Or are we just oversimplifying a complex reality? So let's break this down. In Islam, iman is about belief in Allah, His angels, His books, His messengers, the last day, and qadar. It's the foundation of our faith. But mental health, on the other hand, that's about balance of body, mind, and emotions. And just like physical health, sometimes it breaks down. Now, the Prophet Muhammad himself experienced deep sadness, like during the year of sorrow when he lost his wife Khadijah and uncle Abu Talib. So then why do we still hear things like depression means you're weak in iman? Or if you trust Allah, you shouldn't feel sad? Is this true? Or is this a stigma that we just need to clear up? And let's be real, if depression is really a sign of weak iman, are we then saying our prophets have weak iman? That doesn't add up. So tonight, let's find out, where does Islam stand in this and how we can better support our community. But before we do that, let's hear what the people on the street have to say.
With mental health being something that's taken more seriously Can you stop moving? With mental health being something that's being taken more seriously these days, there are still some that suggest that how depressed you are is linked to how strong your iman is. To see if this is true, we're going to be on the streets asking people what they think. Let's go. And do you think that depression is a sign of a weak iman?
No lah. Kind of. I think iman and depression is two separate things.
If you have weak iman, you have this thinking, and always negative.
Depression is depend on you because you create the depression.
Because sometimes emotion come and go, but perhaps if you talk about you need to have more stronger iman, not for you to get depression, perhaps.
I want to dance like this today.
When you tell people you're sad, what do they tell you?
Pray 2 rakaat, you will be good.
Give a semangat, spirit, new spirit. Give me a cigarette, maybe.
Zikir, go and pray.
Go out with friends, so we're not lonely. Why this boy lonely?
Try sembayang lah. 2 rakaat pun cukup. You need someone to talk to you to say that you are strong. Then dah lah, insyaAllah.
So that's what people think when it comes to depression and iman. What do you guys think? Back to you, Dew.
Now, if that was me on the street and people are asking me about iman, I would say her dad is a soccer legend. Tonight, we have two amazing guests to help us unpack this topic. And the first guest is Ustazah Dr. Noraini Abdul Wahab.
Yes.
It's crazy that I need to pronounce Malay names because it's very long. Now, she is an Islamic research psychologist and principal clinical counselor who integrates classic learning with modern therapy. She is also the co-founder of Sacred Hard Work Private Limited, an Islamic mental wellness hub, offering faith-based Islamic counseling and established Little Sahaba Student Care Center. Our second guest needs no introduction because he was also here for our first episode, and his name is Ustaz Harun
Hassan Akhtar.
You don't lie. I complete my sentence, then I look like.
Okay.
But yes, again,
one more time.
No, it's okay. Again, if you need a reminder, he is the ambassador of MKAC. He guides our community on faith and social issues, bridging the gap between traditional and today's realness. Okay, before we start this conversation, I, as a trying Muslim, I'm actually quite lost because I never knew there was such thing as an Islamic psychologist. So I guess you can explain to me what exactly is an Islamic psychologist.
So maybe I start with what psychology is. So psychology, in the English or the Latin word, I think, it means study of the self. So in the Islamic world, we call it study of the nafsu, ilmu nafs. We try and understand why the person behaves in that manner and how do we heal certain parts of the person so that they can come back to their original self.
So I see things as two things now, right? One is science and one is faith. So how do you draw the gap between the two? Because from what I'm hearing, what you're saying, right, is a lot of EQ. Firstly, if let's say I want to understand what people are thinking, what people are going through, there's a lot of EQ, right? I ask questions, so on and so forth. I don't see how science and faith are actually bridging together. So, I mean, in your profession, how do you bridge these two together?
Oh yeah, I would like to quote to you what happened to one Dr. Maurice Bucaille. He was a scientist from France, and he was in charge of these mummies, the kings they mummified. And then he was investigating how all mummies were mummified, except one known as Ramesses II. He was not even mummified, but his body was preserved without any embalmation and so on and so forth. So he was seeking explanation from all holy books, sacred scriptures. And finally, when he found the answer in Surah Yunus, where Allah said, "Today, I shall preserve your body, so that you will become example for all mankind, a symbol of one who rejects Allah and the Messenger." So from there, he saw, subhanallah, that God can actually supersede science. So he totally accept, and after that he stood up, he said, "Now I'm believer of Allah and the believer of Al-Quranul Kareem." So, meaning to say, science that is based on logic and also in findings and in experiments, but when it found a superior authority of explanation, science submit to the Holy Scriptures.
Okay.
Okay,
Isn't
with
that
regards
just
to Iman,
Sorry, wait. That
Yeah.
just sounds like, okay, again, trying Muslim, right? That just sounds like a miracle, no?
yeah,
So because of the miracle, from that story, because
Yes.
of the miracle, he surrendered the science
yes,
to God.
yes, yep.
Okay, I get what you're saying now.
Meaning
Okay.
to say that in one way saying that whatever that human can do, God can do better. We must accept that all knowledge comes from Him, and thus we appreciate His greatness, is His all-knowing, and human we accept, and then we use it for good uses, like that.
Okay, sorry, I interrupted you. You wanted to go on?
No problem, sir. I think that's good enough. Yeah.
Okay, and I guess today's topic is what we want to talk about is when people are going through depression, what the pachiks usually say, or the machiks will say that our iman is weak, right? And I don't see how that is true, or I also don't see how that is false, right? Because now, for example, if we are going through something, and if, let's say, we are a practicing Muslim, we are a very good practicing Muslim, we will pray to God and ask for strength. And sometimes, maybe after the prayer, we will feel better. But I know there's a science logic to this. Maybe you can separate the two and maybe explain to us what actually depression is.
I'll break it down a little bit. So in the past, right, what we understand about healing and how we can help people become better. Normally in the community, in social work, we focus on three things. So we focus on a person's biology, a person's psychology, and their social environment. So this is how we do assessments. Sometimes you have depression that comes from a biological or a genetical factor lah. So that means maybe some uncle or grandparent or parent has got depression or anxiety or some other forms of mental illness, and it's in your DNA.
Oh, so it's inheritary.
Inherited.
Oh, okay,
Yeah.
okay. Oh, that I didn't know. I thought depression is formed.
Oh, okay.
I thought.
yeah.
Okay, sorry. Let me rephrase that. I thought depression is a condition that is formed by the person. It's not like diabetes where I can pass it down. If let's say now as a parent I can pass down depression through genes.
Yes, something like diabetes. Yes.
Oh wow, that's great information.
Yeah, that's genetical. Yeah.
But does that mean then my parents have weak iman?
No, maybe they have a predisposing condition. Like they already have it from, it's in the biology, it's in the genetics, it's in the gene.
Yeah. So now let's say because what the audience are thinking is that, I mean, a lot of people have told them like, if you have depression, your iman is weak. So now if depression can be passed down, does that mean my parents have weak iman?
Okay, so this comes to the second part lah, where, so the first one is biology, then you have psychology. So certain factors can affect your psychology. So let's say nobody in your family has got depression, and it's not in the genes or in the DNA, but some life event happens. So some trauma happened to you. So wars, like the world wars, abuse, for example. So we have something called early childhood experiences. These can cause the DNA to change. So so they get depression, they get trauma, and then they get depression, then it can pass down to the next generation. So that is the psychological part of it. So unhealed trauma obviously can give people PTSD, post-traumatic stress disorder. They can also give people depression, anxiety, and all sorts of other forms of illnesses.
And when they say it's weak iman, does that mean that I can pray all these problems away?
Okay, so now we come to the biopsychosocial, right? So the social factor.
Okay.
So now
Sorry.
there are some things in the environment maybe that can cause. So that's where the early adverse childhood experiences come in, where possibly the home environment is not so stable, not safe, and it gives a person trauma, and so how it gets passed on from one generation to another. So then, after some time in the 1970s, psychologists and the social scientists found that spirituality can actually help people. So initially, when people have illnesses because of their biology, you can medicate them. When they have traumas and they have thinking patterns which affect their psychology, you can do cognitive behavioral therapies, and there are all sorts of different therapies that you can do with them. And then in the 1970s, they found that faith can actually strengthen a person to the point that they can overcome mental illnesses.
Okay, now this is very interesting. I want to ask, what was the test? What was this and what was that? But you can correct me if I'm wrong. Is it basically believing that someone up there can help me, and then it turns into hope, and that becomes, for the lack of a better word, placebo for me, so then I kind of kick out the depression out of me?
Whether it's somebody out there helping you overcome the depression, or is it you who, because of your hope, for your gratitude and positive way of thinking and choosing to live life more positively, maybe those are possible factors that affect how you manage your depressive symptoms or anxiety symptoms.
Okay, Ustad, is there any stories out there where someone used faith, or is there a very depressing story where faith saved someone that you know of?
Oh yes, I see even when the Prophet himself, when he faced rejections from the people, even God says in Surah Al-Kahfi that you almost killed yourself through depression because they did not accept what you say. He was so stressed with their rejection until he felt like so suffocated like that. But Allah told him that Hidayah is in the hands of Allah. Your duty is only to relay the message, and the rest will be done by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So, meaning to say that depression and sadness is a common trait of human. When you got any test, you should be saying, Inna lillah wa inna ilaihi raji'un. That we are all from Allah, and to Allah we shall return. Meaning to say, we have got our Creator to look over us. But that does not mean that you will not be working for your own betterment. Because God said, Allah will not change a person until they themselves change with their own hands. There were many instances, even amongst the common people that I saw, they were in utter depression because their family left them, and she was also divorced, and she was on the street begging and in utter depression. And in that case, the society can come to help her and give all the moral support and of course maybe financial support so that she can come up and then re-establish herself as normal, respected human being. God is our hope, and we believe, we put our trust in Him, but at the same time we work for the betterment of ourselves, and also what's also important, so the family support and the societal support, so that we can be out of depression. And depression are left longer than expected can lead to more mental issues, right? It has to be addressed as soon as possible.
I guess with that said, right, why does this stigma exist then? When someone has depression, immediately it means weak iman.
It may not be that a person is weak in iman because that also depends on the intensity of the depression. Small depression, people can simply solve it, but if it's a very heavy one, it doesn't mean that a person is of weak iman. Maybe they didn't have a channel to ask for help. Or maybe, what do I call it? Not knowing the way out, not given the assistance. But basically, a person of iman will know that nothing lasts forever. Because God also said, verily after one hardship, there will be ease. So we knowing that it's only a passing time, soon it will go away. But again, we say that it's not symbolical of a weak iman. In fact, some people after undergoing much stress and suffering, the iman becomes better, becomes stronger. After seeing that no one else can help him except God, except coming back to religion, even I've seen some people who are under utter depression after doing the Islamic ritual like salat and puasa and making dua, reading the Quran, they became more at ease. And after that, with their ikhtiar, they find solution and they find jobs. After that, their life becomes much more settled.
So, Ustazah, do you think that, when people say they have depression equals to, and someone replies your iman is weak, do you think that is like an oversimplification, or is it like a very dismissive thing to say, especially from parents, right? When we tell our parents we are sad, most of the times they won't believe. They will either say your iman is weak or just snap out of it. Do you think it's an oversimplification of things, or this is just a dismissive?
I'm not sure. Okay, because
I think
sometimes
that's too judgmental, isn't it? Yeah.
I think, maybe also because is that not many people are comfortable feeling sad or feeling any emotion actually. I think a lot of people struggle with feeling feelings. They don't want to feel sad, they don't want to feel angry, they don't want to feel anything other than happiness or peace. So I think when a person tells you to snap out of it, it's because they don't want to deal with your sadness. Maybe.
Mostly, yeah.
Yeah, mostly because they don't feel comfortable with their own feeling. What else? What more having to deal with somebody else's feelings? The other thing that people always misuse, Ustaz, is that part yang tadi, the one you were saying, ala bizikrillah
Tatma'innul qulub, yeah.
Which is
Isn't with the remembrance of God, the heart becomes tranquil.
Right. So they always use this to say that just zikir lah. Just do more zikir, do more remembrances, and your heart will be feeling better. So the problem with this is, especially with us, I don't know if this is okay to say. Okay, if it's not okay, then you can remove it lah. Okay, but actually, research has shown that any minority community anywhere in the world would probably struggle with depression, anxiety, stress, and all sorts of ailments of the community or the society. So this is common because being a minority would also make you have less resources. You do have to deal with discrimination and things like that, and racism and things, which can be very hurtful. It is okay for us to feel sad because
100%, yeah.
The situation is like that, and there's nothing you can do to change the situation, So it's fine to feel sad. But I think the problem comes when people don't want to feel sad, so they try and fight it. So the more you fight it, the more it builds up inside you.
I think also it makes you more resistant. Because when you are faced with such a test, usually become stronger. People who would say that, your iman is weak because they are not yet in your position. Can they cope or not when they are in your shoe? Yeah. So it's like what you say, it's very dismissal. They thought that you are overthinking, they thought that you are overreacting and so on. But sometimes depression does help strengthen a person. Whether spiritually or physically or mentally, and then a person build that resistance to even go ahead better than those people who are not having any depression.
I want to add on to that.
Please do.
Yeah.
So about inna ma'al usri yusra, right? So people usually use this to tell somebody who's going through something difficult to say, don't worry, you just sabar, after this things will get easier lah. Of course, the person who's going through it is just feeling like they're in hell and it doesn't help them. For some reason, they don't feel like this is helping.
Yeah.
Okay, but just to add on to that is that actually what happens when you are accepting difficulties, what happens is your brain actually builds new neural pathways, which gives you resilience.
Is that right to say that actually depression is not a weakness, it's actually a test
it's a condition that, like fever and COVID.
Yeah.
And so it's just a condition that you have to go through.
Okay.
And it may actually be good for you to a certain extent, to a certain timeline. So it's not about trying to push away depression. It's about, embracing whatever feelings that you're feeling for this time. So for example, grief, right? If you know there's something called stages of grief, where you have to feel the feelings that you're going through at each stage, like fully experience it, and then it will go away.
Okay, I kind of agree with that. Yes, because I
Yeah.
mean, if you keep putting it aside, one day
Yeah.
it's gonna hit you lah. Yeah.
It's gonna burst because
Yeah.
when you suppress and you repress, at some point it's just gonna build up and you're just gonna explode lah. Just allowing the feelings to come through, and let it flow. So just feel it and then let it go. Don't hold it. Don't repress it. Don't try and run away from it. So grief is best done when you fully experience it, and then you it just flows
With time lah.
with time.
Yeah. So let's say I'm an average Joe, I'm an average Muslim Joe, okay, and I'm going through depression lah. And then there's Islamic psychology, and there's psychiatrist, and then there's a normal psychiatrist. How do I choose, or why would I choose a Islamic psychiatrist? Because if let's say I go and see the psychiatrist and then they tell me my iman is weak, I would think again you're being dismissive, right?
Right.
So I guess what I want to educate the audience is why, or rather, how do they choose which psychiatrist to go to if they are Muslim?
So no professional would tell you that you're having your condition because your iman is low lah.
Okay.
No clinician will tell you that. It cannot lah. That's unethical.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So then why would I go to an Islamic psychiatrist?
So why would you go to an Islamic psychologist?
Sorry, yeah.
Okay. So what we would do is help you understand where you are at and how do you navigate through this hardship. So in the year of huzun, in the year of sadness that Rasulullah SAW went through, right? His mechanism, what was it that he did that helped him through? Or what was it that the Sahabas did, or the companions did that helped him, that supported him through that period of time?
And is there a difference between because I didn't read the Quran, right? So let's say what his friends did for him, is there a difference between a non-Islamic way and an Islamic way? Because in my head, now, let's say I have a depressed friend. I did not read the Quran again, right? I immediately already know what to do. Islamic or not, I know that I have to be there for my friend. I know I cannot close my heart, or I cannot close my mind to whatever problems he or she is going through, because then I'm dismissive of
Correct.
his or her feelings. Then I don't need an Islamic
Psychologist.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
I'm not disrespecting you though. I'm just trying to understand. Yeah.
Totally valid question and valid reasons for it. So generally, what happens is we encourage everybody whenever they're feeling, they have not been functioning properly for 2 weeks, or a certain period of time, when they find it difficult to go to work or even get up to brush their teeth, go to the poly, go to any clinic that you can go to, and see any doctor. You don't have to see a Muslim doctor. You can just see anybody, and just make sure you get yourself assessed, because sometimes it can be some illness like thyroid or kidney failure or something lah. So get that sorted out first. So normally when I see clients or patients, right, what the issues that they have would be around religion. So if you have issues about religion, so about shame or about guilt or about, was. Yeah, so normally these are the things where the normal psychologists or counselors would actually advise the person to go and see a Muslim therapist.
Okay, now you have my attention. Okay, so this is very interesting. So when you say shame and everything from a Islamic point of view, maybe bad example, okay? So I am ashamed because I ate pork last time. And this is a true story, okay? So then I cannot get over it because now I'm a trying Muslim. I'm trying to be a better Muslim. I cannot get over it because I feel like it's a very big sin that I have done. It's all online. Everybody knows about it. So now I'm very ashamed. And I'm going through something about my mental health. So then I go and see you instead of a normal... Oh, okay, that makes sense.
Because when you go to a normal therapist and they say, just forget it lah. Like, what's the big deal?
Yeah. Now that you start eating pork, then what's the problem, right?
What's the issue here?
Even when you say just now a friend who has got depression and you try to be with him in his moments of grief, I think that's also an Islamic approach also. Even when the Prophet visited a few companions who were being tortured and he was so helpless to help them. For example, he was Yasir. He said, Sabran ya Ali Yasir, be patient. He was there for them. With you around, it simply somehow consoled their hearts and it soothed somehow the depression that they are experiencing. And with regards to your moments that you had tasted pork, even at one time, the companions also, they were also drinking liquor. And then, of course, the provision to drink liquor came stage by stage. But the Prophet told them, seek repentance from Allah. Even I myself say, Astaghfirullah, I seek forgiveness in Allah 100 times a day. So he recommended that when you have made a mistake, say istighfar, repent to Allah SWT, and having that faith that Allah will forgive our sins. Because the only sin that's not forgiven by Allah is the sin of shirk. Eating pork and drinking liquor, fornication. If we truly are remorseful of what we've done, seek repentance, seek forgiveness from Him, and we believe that He will always forgive us.
Can I ask you something? So, I mean, on this topic of mental health and whatever it is, right? The reason why I ate pork was because my family was very poor when I was very young. So when I went to school, the halal chicken rice was $1. The pork noodles was 50 cents. So in order for me to survive, I chose to eat the pork. Now, what does that say about me as a Muslim? Because what we are taught, right? We can only eat pork if it's the last animal on earth and we have to survive, we eat the pork. But at that point of time, I ran out of all other options. I could only eat the pork. Is that I'm not asking if it's a right or wrong thing to do. I don't know. What does it mean in the Muslim world?
That scenario, I don't think it will ever happen. Like people said, it will come a time there'll be no other drinks except Bacardi and Coke, whiskey and so on. Or there'll be no other food except that of swine flesh. Because when I went to Paris a couple of times, I was having problem looking for halal food. I walked for a couple of maybe 1 kilometer in search of better options. Then I saw kosher operated by Turkish Muslim. But when I went there, I saw that they were also at the same time drinking liquor. And even I asked them, what's the direction of the Qibla? They said, we don't know, we're not praying. But they are Muslim. Still, my heart says, I can find a better option. So I walked further down, I saw Pondicherry Thosai shop, totally vegetarian. And to me, I've got a better choice. I made the effort to look for it and I found totally Thosai, masala Thosai, totally vegetarian. To me, that is much more better than to eat in a so-called Muslim restaurant. I do not know whether they were particular, whether the animal really slaughtered or not, or whether prepared Islamic way. So I made my effort and I was satisfied. So from that time onwards, I makan Thosai until I returned to Singapore. Meaning to say, you are given a choice. Even when we went to some country where during breakfast, not many halal food were there, but they are bread, cheese, milk, fruits, vegetables. We'll never run out of choices.
Sorry,
but in your case, maybe it was just
uneducated.
Maybe at that time, maybe we were not given much choices. Maybe, yeah? Or maybe that in life also we sometimes made wrong choices, knowingly or unknowingly. And of course, that sin will be forgiven by Allah if we are totally remorseful of what we have done.
Now that I am not sure.
I mean,
As in, and I'm not saying that I don't feel remorseful. I don't want to be forgiven, right? But I think because I've done it for so long in my life, that now that I've started, I just blame. Okay lah. Yeah.
Just let it pass, huh?
Yes. I feel like I acted the way I acted because I had reasons to act how I acted.
Yeah.
But then I also not disagreeing that where I had other choice, I didn't choose the other choice lah. Because it became a lifestyle where, it's because it's cheaper, I just eat. Okay, not about me. I guess we can end it with this, right?
Beautiful.
There's a lot of people out there who are going through depression today in today's society. I guess what we can teach the audience is how do we then manage these people? What should people at home do when someone approaches them for help or have been telling them about their problem?
There is something in the Islamic law in the Sharia, the Maqasid Sharia, where we talk about Daruriyatil Khamas, meaning the basic needs of humans, or preserving the basic needs. So I think in your story, in your experience, not story, but in your experience, I'm so sorry that you had to go through that.
Hey, no worries. It's my parents' fault.
No, no.
Right, they were giving allowance. They were giving $2 a day. That wasn't enough. It wasn't my fault. I couldn't work. I was 15 years old. Parents' fault.
Yeah.
I'm kidding.
I wouldn't blame your parents as well lah, because I think the failure lies in us. When our Muslim youth are going through something like that and we don't help them, and they get to the point where they have to face poverty and lack of resources again, like I said, lack of resources, lack of choices, because we are at a certain level of the economy and the society, There is something in the Maqasid Sharia, or in the what is Maqasid Sharia? What's that? Objectives of the Sharia is to preserve people from going into crisis or falling into severe poverty and things like that. So there are 5 things that in the terms of community or anybody who's able, who has come of age, that they have to preserve for themselves. So firstly is preservation of their self, their body and their soul. Secondly is preservation of their way of life or their religion. Thirdly is preservation of their intellect and their mind. Fourth is preservation of progeny or keturunan.
Yes.
Yep. Okay. And fifth is preservation of economy and stability. So when these 5 are not taken care of, and I mean in a family unit, they obviously have fallen into a certain state of crisis, it becomes the community's responsibility to take care of them. So you having gone through that makes me very sad and makes me feel like we have failed you. I would not say that it's your fault 100%, but given that happened, and I'm very, very sure that Allah is forgiving and most merciful, because He knows what you had to go through. And at this adult age, you realize that, I was in that state, and you would feel sorry for your 15-year-old self, right?
100%, yeah.
And if you can, you go back and you would give him money to buy the nasi ayam.
100%, yes.
100%, yeah. So I believe that Allah will forgive you based on how you are reacting now. Like, because if you had the capacity, you would have given the boy money for nasi ayam.
Now that's therapy, guys. No, I think like from that, so the reason why I brought out the story is because I want to understand how does Islamic therapy works, right? Because I really can't wrap my head around it. So I had a story. So I'm telling you the story. So now that you're telling me that, I'm like, okay. Again, I mean, if it's a non-Islamic way, people will usually just say, forget about it. What will you have done now is what matters, right? Yeah. But I guess you went a little bit deeper, like, now that you've realized, and now if you go back, if Allah give you the chance to go back, what would you have done? Yeah, so and I guess, thank you for enlightening me. Yeah.
You're welcome. So,
Ustaz, on your end, what are some advices you would give the families at home on how to manage their family members or their friends with depression?
The duty or the function of family is to ensure the household is peaceful, happy, blessed, and full of love. And sometimes the depression is not coming from the family, but maybe from outside. Parents, you must be sensitive to the behavior of your children. When they have got this depression, immediately address them. Call them, embrace them, touch them, give them soothing words. And be there for them and tell them whatever you are going through, we are going to go through together with you. Should you need any help, we are going to get help as fast as we can to relieve you from your depression. Just like when the Prophet was in a very difficult state, he was consoled by his blessed wife, Zaidean Khadijah. She blanketed him and then she consoled him. Don't worry, nothing will happen to you. And Nabi Muhammad felt so comforted by the family's concern and love for him. So I think family, be loving, be caring, identify the slightest problem that you can see and quickly address them, inshallah.
So I guess at the end of the day, I personally don't agree that if let's say someone is going through depression, that iman is weak. I'm pretty sure that someone who prays every day, who looks for
Definitely,
God every
yeah.
day but is still going through depression.
Yeah.
It's just a normal human struggle that everybody goes through. People just face it very differently, and how harsh is it on them is also very, very different. Yeah, and I think today you guys also have bring that to light. Thank you guys so much for
Thank
coming
you so
and
much.
giving us your knowledge
Thanks
again.
for
Ustaz.
having us.
Thank you.
so much, Mr. Dew.
Yes.
Thanks, Ustazah.
For the people at home, I will keep my personal reflection for the end of the show, but please stay and do not go everywhere because we have a special guest to do a news roundup segment. Guess who it is? Because I also don't know.
Awesome.
Yes.
Yeah, thank you.
Hi, Ziden. One question. How do you handle challenging cases?
Yeah, I have one. So the recent one is how actually a Singaporean is actually living overseas, but they want to buy a property in Singapore. So of course, normally when people are overseas based on their income, they are looking at private property. So the first thing first is to understand their affordability. Are they buying by cash or are taking a loan? Because if let's say they take a loan, then this is where we need to refer to a bank. The bank will need to ensure that they have enough fund to take a loan from the bank. But the recent case was actually being paid full cash. They don't need to take another loan. So the challenge is how they actually transfer the money from overseas to Singapore. So there's actually a lot of processes, not only that I need to deal with the client, but also with the law firm. Even after knowing the affordability, next is to see what kind of property that they actually want and what kind of property that has a value in years to come. I mean, as much we real estate consultant, we are not fortune teller. We need to ensure that whatever that they're going to buy, based on data and facts, we ensure that they will buy the correct. So there is a lot of research that I actually go through with the future owners, which means that which property is actually eligible for them, how much they can actually purchase, and what is the potential. And we also share the so-called presentation deck with them. So because they are overseas, the challenge is, of course, with technology right now, we use it through Zoom or Google Meet.
One of the challenging case that we did recently, that I remembered, we need to sell one HDB house that owned by 3 owners, parents and a son, because of the son married and they need to get their own flat. And while the parents are in their 50s, so when we sell, the parent need to buy another house and to get another loan, and even the son also need to get another loan. So we have to manage, because the parent can't get another second HDB loan, but the son can get another HDB loan. So we need to manage with the timeline, the loan amount, the tenure of the loan for the parent, and also we have to manage the timeline for when we sell one, we have to get 2 houses and we have to adjust because some parents need to buy another house and how much cash need to down payment. Standard bank loan process, we need to put 5%, but this case that the buyer need to put 10% of the cash. There's some circumstances that why the buyer need to put 10% of the cash. We have to manage it, and Alhamdulillah, both of them, after we sell, and both of them already get their house, and I already plan for them what need to be done for the parents for the next 5 to 10 years, and also for the son to upgrade for the next 5 to 10 years.
In this week's top domestic story, the Zaidean Property team has done what no counsellor ever could, solving housing dramas faster than couples can say it's complicated. Sources confirm the team has successfully helped numerous Singaporeans move out, move on, and move into better homes without the usual heartbreak, IKEA arguments, or who keeps the cat debates. Industry experts are calling it a miracle in the housing market, proof that when love gets messy, Zaidean gets the keys. From selling shared homes to finding new ones, they're not just closing deals, they're opening new chapters. This broadcast is brought to you by Zaidean, the only agent who can turn a breakup into a down payment success story. Singapore's youths are blowing up smoke literally. A 15-year-old girl was among 5 caught for vaping during a sting operation known as a vape hotspot. Confirm Yishun. 15? When I was 15, the only thing I was hiding from my parents were bad grades. Now they are hiding Telegram chats and ATM withdrawals? Goodness. Actually, when I was 15, I was watching Dew on Real Talk about all the haram things he has done, and I honestly don't know which is worse. Funny how times have changed, because at 15, the biggest lie I told my mum was, I'm fasting. Authorities said these operations are part of their ongoing effort to curb vaping. So to our young rebels, if your vape has more flavors than your resume, maybe it's time to take a deep breath of actual air. From 27 December, bus and train fares are going up by 5%. That's an extra 9 to 10 cents per trip. Or as Singaporeans call it, coins we don't use anymore. Relax. The official reason? Rising energy costs. The unofficial reason? Your suffering fuels the MRT. Honestly, at this point, most businesses should just digitize and let us work from home. We'll save 20 cents per day pretending to be productive in our pajamas. And I'm still waiting for the day they introduce surge pricing, like Grab, for when it rains. So yes, walking is still free for now, unless they start charging for oxygen next year lah. And back home, a quieter but more powerful story of compassion. Singaporeans have been consistently donating and sponsoring aid to Gaza, even helping fund the building and the polyclinic there. It's a reminder that real solidarity doesn't need hashtags or photo ops. It's the kind that moves quietly through kindness and not content. Actor Aaron Aziz and his family have also been supporting Palestine through subtle efforts, a stark contrast to some influencers who got taken out of context and then posted a 20-minute clarification video. Maybe next time, just do the good thing, not just for a press release. So whether you're giving $1 or a doa or your time, it still matters because real change is built one quiet good deed at a time. And that's your weekly Deen Digest, where the world burns, prices rise, and teenagers vape. At least we still have jokes and 9-cent fare increases to keep us grounded. So back to you, Dew. And please, if I ever run for office, remind me to stay away from Gen Z protests, vape hotspots, and comment sections. Can someone please teach me how to pronounce solidarity? Solidarity?
Now, that's a very enlightening conversation because now I see what's the difference between like depression and weak faith. Now, there's nothing wrong with the two. It's just that how I see it is that when you have strong faith in God, it can or might help you find a way out and strengthen yourself to go through the problems that you're going through. Especially in today's generation where when someone does something wrong or when someone is going through something very, very tough in their life, people are very quick to judge. And when they judge, it leads them to say stupid things or things that they don't mean to these other people. It also can lead to very dismissive comments. So for example, like, again, as we mentioned, your iman is weak. It's a very dismissive comment. But I guess how these two come together is you firstly need to understand what this person is going through, and then you can maybe ask them where they're at in faith. And if you feel, or rather if they are not practicing faith as well as I am, and maybe that can be a way out for them. So unfortunately, that's all the time we have for you today. To our guests, thank you very much for coming in here and spreading your knowledge. And to you at home, again, thank you so much for learning with us. May Allah grant us strength in dunya and peace in akhirat. I am Dew Francis and this is the Weekly Deen Show. Assalamualaikum, everybody.
I think depression can be something that is common to most people, maybe to most countries, to any society, any nation. It's also a wake-up call for people around us to be more sensitive to people who are experiencing depression. Meaning to say, when we identify someone with depression, the society, or especially family members, they must all come out and give the person a very good support and helping hand to deal with the depression. I personally feel that depression is not all negative. It can be positive sometimes. As I said, it can build up your resilience and your perseverance to face greater challenges and greater tests in life, and also at the same time making you a stronger person. And with that experience that you have underwent, you can share whatever that you have gone through with people who could be in the future facing depression, so that this can be a guide for them to deal with depression when they got it.
I think based on what we have talked about, one of the things that was mentioned was how Dew went through what he went through. And you know, sometimes we are stuck, and I mean the choices are not that great lah. Even though we enjoy making the not great choices, I think that's a coping mechanism. So I would just like everybody to, maybe as Muslims, right, we can have a bit more compassion and less judgment perhaps on people, because life happens. We should all have feelings like sadness and, you know, and some form of anxiety here and there. There's such a thing as good stress. Have some compassion, because Allah, the most merciful, will have compassion on anybody who is most merciful as well. Who is merciful as well. So that's from me. So stay cool and be kind. Don't forget to like, follow, subscribe. Like, follow, subscribe. Okay. Like, follow, subscribe to Zaidean YouTube channel. Like, follow and subscribe to Zaidean YouTube channel. One more time dia cakap.